I'm your host, Ben, and today we have two gents from ProLeague.gg, the CTO Aaron, the co-founder Easy Bucko. Gents, how are you today?
It's another wonderful day. I mean, it's a Tuesday, but being in crypto, it's just another day.
Friggin' Tuesdays. What's up, Easy Bucko? How you doing, pal?
Good, just hanging out. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Really excited to chat with you guys. So what's the story, guys? What's would love to hear y'all's story, how you got to where you are today. Obviously, easy, you're a non, so don't want to get into any of that. But just a little bit of background on how y'all really got to building Pro League.
Sure, I can take this one. Pro League has a history. I started Pro League I started working on it back in 2017, 2018, when I was just hanging out and playing games and esports. And Kevin Hitt would constantly tell me about how esports is and gaming is totally lopsided and it favors, some type of people. There's a lot of issues going on in esports, such as, it being fragmented. There's no all-in-one platform for gamers. And another issue that was heavily on our mind is the payments. People are getting paid late or ranging from 30 to 90 days or sometimes not getting paid at all.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing all these issues that were going on in crypto and gaming. And I was an early blockchain adopter, as well as I've been in gaming for 20 years. So I saw an opportunity to create an all-in-one platform for gamers, built by gamers. And yeah, that's how it got started. It was just Kevin Hitt, investigative journalist, tell me all these issues, and block. I saw blockchain as an avenue of fixing all these issues and taking esports as a digital sport mainstream.
I love that. I love that. So it seems like you've been a gamer for a while, or at least in the gaming industry. What drew you to esports in particular within, like, I feel like esports is a subset of all gaming. Was it just that conversation where you were noticing a lot of problems, or was that something that you felt especially drawn to just as a subcategory of gaming in general?
Well, I mean, just as an esports player, I saw this category, and I saw a major problem within it. It's not just gaming; it's gaming and esports. But focusing on esports, where money is being made and tossed around, I saw that as a major issue that we needed to fix. And with blockchain, we can be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think esports is probably one of the most slept on industries like in existence today. I mean, there's so many cool things that are coming. Like I I think one of the things I'm interested to get y'all's take on it, and then Aaron, I want to make sure to get your story as well. But I think just one of the things about esports that a lot of people don't think about is games were not natively built around the idea of esports in the beginning, and but now they're starting to be. So gaming is still so nascent, and esports is even more nascent. Like, we're still so early on in the world of esports, and now there's this whole crypto blockchain metaverse thing coming. Like, we have some cool stuff coming down the pipeline that I think people haven't, they don't even have an inkling of what it can become.
No, 100%. When we talk about esports, you dive back to all the way back to like the early competitions, but then uh, when you started getting into like the multiplayer games and be able to play 4 players on a screen, and then for those that have been around a while, when you would drag your Xbox or whatever to your friend's house and you'd have 3 rooms going with Ethernet cables running from one room to the other.
LAN party.
Yeah, the LAN parties, lugging your desktop around with your big old CRT monitor. You know, um, and it's truly evolved at an extraordinarily rapid pace. I mean, heavily due to just the prevalence of the internet and streaming and everything that we can do with that. And realistically, blockchain gaming is literally just the next evolution, and it just makes sense, right? We've got this amazing piece of technology. that allows us to do all sorts of really cool stuff, between the immutability of it, the automation of it, and then just the fact that, like, when Bucko was talking about it and he was talking about, payment issues and whatnot, like, this is a blockchain. Blockchain was designed for that to start with. So if you've got an industry like esports that has a payment problem, and you can put it on blockchain, and then you can also take the entire industry itself and do what it does on the blockchain, it's a natural fit. And so personal opinion is that blockchain gaming and just gaming in general is going to move, from a multiplayer standpoint, heavily into blockchain style stuff, or at least a Web3 integration into whatever game it is. Because the reality is, look, if we're going to make esports an industry where you can have a career, you need to be able to pay your rent. You need to be able to buy that bottle of water, right? Like, it needs to be a real job that pays you something. So, the ability to do this stuff on blockchain really brings that out.
I love that. I love that. Easy, you wanna add on to that?
No, it's just that I personally think that blockchain and gaming has a symbiotic relationship. They can mutually benefit from each other, especially with the digital ledgers, like what I'm trying to do with Pro League. The proof of play protocol is what I want to do. Is I want to take the stats of virtual games from like Counter-Strike, Valorant, Call of Duty, Gods Unchained, etc. And I want to put their stats onto the blockchain to make their data immutable, which would be valuable to investors and potential sponsors that they go to. So they can say, hey, this is real data that's tamper proof. You can verify this on the blockchain, and here's our negotiation terms.
I love that. So how okay, so maybe let's take a step back. Let's dive into Pro League. Give us a more robust tour of what exactly it is you guys are building. Feel free to screen share and show us some stuff. But yeah, would love to just kind of have like the intro so we can really frame it properly in our minds as we continue to talk about it.
Oh man, I did not have stuff pulled up for a
Sure.
screen share.
I can. I guess I can take that. I mean, just an overview of Pro League is we are a Web3 competitive gaming platform. Pro League is a Web3 social blockchain gaming and esports platform. We are also a Web3 infrastructure for Web2 and Web3 games to host tournaments and leagues as well as matchmake. We have many first movers and USPs. We are connecting everyone in gaming and esports with Web3 technologies. We will be the first gaming platform with the built-in Players Association to act like a DAO. What I mean by that is every community is going to act like a DAO that is a game, and within the gaming communities, they'll interact with the leadership of Pro League or the leadership team that they appoint to interact with us and to make sure that the platform is going into the right direction. And also, the Pro League Players Association covers players on the platform, like just in case they got screwed over by teams, their organizations, brands, or sponsors. We can, if they are a member of that, we can also investigate the issues and act accordingly on our platform, because we want everyone to have a safe, enjoyable time on our platform. Another thing that we have is the proof of play protocol, is where we take the Web 2 and the Web 3 stats of your virtual stats, and we implement them on the blockchain and import them to where it's immutable and it's tamper proof data, to where it brings real world value to people when they're trying to find investments, teams, organizations, or sponsors. Our main competitors are Faceit, BattleFi, Civo, ESL, ESCA, Community Gaming, ExceedMe, and Veracity. The features that we will have on the platform are anti-cheat, skill progression, blockchain matchmaking, tournaments and leagues, NFT marketplace, instant cash out, and buying and selling crypto. Um, yeah, so that's just an overview of the overall platform. We're an all-in-one exclusive platform, and we plan to solve many problems being an all-in-one platform, such as the payments and connecting everyone in gaming to this all-in-one platform instead of it being heavily fragmented.
Yeah, that's a lot of things all at once. I think that's
So
a little bit to digest. Yeah, maybe you could kind of break it down into,
Yeah,
like, let's say
right,
I'm a user or I'm a gamer. Let's do it from the gamer
right.
perspective. Yeah.
The gamers, they're the most important person, right? And that's kind of very much Pro League's attitude, which is, look, you can't have esports without a player, right? You can make great games, you have awesome tournaments, but if you don't have anybody to play them, then they're nothing, right? So what this platform is, right? It's the path to pro, right? It's the place that you go. You can start streaming, you can play a game, you can have a lot of fun, you can get tipped out in real time, and then if you're awesome, right, or you're playing in these tournaments and you're real great, that proof of play protocol logs your data, right? Just like statistics in Major League Baseball, MLB, NFL, NHL, right? And then you can get drafted to a team. It's literally built in, right? So you can get then drafted to a team, and then you can go, you play your tournaments, and all your statistics are right there. The team statistics are right there. It becomes that path to pro. Come over here, start as a streamer. Maybe you just want to stream. Maybe that's all you want to do, right? And just get tipped out because you're a personality, but you're not good at gaming. Awesome, right? You can do that, right? But you're that competitive gamer, the one that's doing the double backflip headshots under the leg through the window across the map,
Well,
right?
who isn't? Who
Right.
isn't at this
Yeah.
stage?
I mean, back in the day, maybe. And now there's an opportunity for someone to find you, right? Because the way that you do that now, right, you got to go into all these fragmented places that tournaments are played. You got to go into all these different streaming platforms, right, to go try and find all of this, right? And then you got to like email, you got to go back and forth through all these fragmented ways this is done, right? When you could literally just go over here and you're the coach or the scout, and you just go, oh man, I'm gonna send this guy an offer ad. Um, right. And then now you're in the tournament, right? Now you're playing on a team, you're getting paid in real time because we can pay you essentially the speed of blockchain, right? You can get rid of PayPal and Venmo and Zelle and Wire and ACH, or some people use these pieces of paper that like represent money. They call them checks. I don't know, right? Some old technology, but apparently exists. Anyways,
Back in the Stone Age.
yeah, exactly, right. I think they're chiseled. But this is blockchain, right? Even on a bad blockchain, right? Like a really, really bad one, like Bitcoin, right? It takes an hour to send payment. Whereas, you know, a good smart contract one or a bad smart contract one like Ethereum takes 5 minutes. And then we're on Solana, which it it moves faster than my screen refreshes. Right. And we can pay that out because it's all variables and numbers that are just built in with a simple click of pay.
Okay. So it's making more sense. So you're basically building a community of gamers and you're equipping them with some tools to help them go pro or at least build income through gaming, whether it be starting with streaming or tracking stats or joining a team. And
Right.
then you're also looking to reach out to coaches and teams and help them build their rosters and then sponsors to come in and find their next star
Bingo.
streamer or
Bingo. Right.
face.
Anybody that's done a business or run a tournament or done any of this stuff, right? One of the most annoying parts of it is the accounting side and the payout side, right? Like you're going through all your players and you're like, all right, so this one's getting PayPal, this one's getting Venmo, this one's getting Zelle, right? When right now you could come over here, right? As soon as the platform's live, you can come over there, build your tournament out, and spend time making your tournament awesome. Instead of spending this time dealing with any of the accounting, or you have to pay someone else or hire someone else to do it, right? You could spend that money making your tournament better, marketing your tournament, getting the word out there, making your prize pool larger, right? Like you can do all of that here instead of spending all this extra time doing this administrative work that we can automate on the blockchain.
Understood. So let's talk a little bit about the life cycle of Pro League. So um, it seems like mostly right now you're building the community. There's a Discord and I see you guys have a white paper, um, and whatnot. Um, where are you in the life cycle of the development? I was taking a peek at the roadmap. Seems like you guys have a full roadmap fleshed out. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, so
and
where are we in that life cycle?
from a overall product lifestyle standpoint, right? We've already vision and scopes completed, and we've actually completed the entire engineering technical side for the entire build out.
And what does that mean exactly for
So what the
non-technical? So I just want to
right.
understand.
So before you build any of this stuff, you don't just go build it, right? You have to put some thought into it, and then you build out a full engineering diagram, right? Which is ours is like 134 pages, right? And it goes through every section of your platform, and it dives into, all right, how does this one work? And there's my camera. How does this one work? And what talks to it? What connects to it? How does this one connect? How does this one connect? And you have to do that for every section, right? So when you look at our roadmap, the roadmap doesn't really look very similar to a lot of standard blockchain or crypto projects, because what we did is we broke it down into each phase of block that has to be created for the actual MVP, right? Which is the minimum viable product, which is that first release that you have, right? And so we start with the basics, right? Your admin authentication, your profile management, your user management, right? How do you validate all of these people? How do you make sure who they are? And then and then we dive into notifications and teams and etc. Right? So this is the actual product development direction
Mhm.
as the product is being developed. That's what our roadmap is, right?
I'm gonna
So
pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here so we can
okay,
check it out.
um, and you know what? Oh, you're looking at that one. Okay,
Mhm.
sorry, I was looking at the one on the website. So
Oh, is
you
this the
know,
right one? We can go grab a different one.
no, that one works. It's just in a different graphical format.
Gotcha.
Right. Uh, what's really sad about the roadmap is that little blue section right there. Um, that's MVP preparation and all of that.
Mhm.
There's like another 5 of these that happened before we got to here.
Mhm.
Um, right? Because so right now we're kind of sitting right at the beginning of that blue and pink line, right? Because we've done all the engineering on the back end or the engineering development side, right? Which is okay. Here's how this is going to be built. Here's all of the technologies that have to be incorporated into it, right? Whether those are your smart contracts on the blockchain side, whether that's the streaming technology that has to be incorporated. How does the front end look? What's the authentication mechanisms that go into it, right? So we're sitting right there at about right before the pink starts at the top. And I know for a lot of people, they look at that and they're like, that's not very far. But the reality is that uh, there's 3 more of these things that have happened before this even got to this point. And that's just kind of the natural phase of any product development if anybody's ever been in that.
Of course. Yeah, it takes a little while. I mean, we have a lot of things to be excited about moving forward. So there's a lot of things to be looking forward to. How are you? Like, how have you prepped so far? Have you guys raised any brought on investors, or you kind of bootstrap for the
Yeah,
ground up?
so the entire point up to this point has pretty much been bootstrapped. We did a real small NFT raise where made some like OG NFTs, and we're moving forward from there uh, to get into the actual product development.
Sweet. So let's talk a little bit about um, kind of what you guys are thinking about when it comes to you're building a platform around gaming and esports and crypto. Everything moves so fast. Y'all are early enough to where you have wiggle room as like where you get to go. So the things change so quickly. So how do you make sure to like stay true to the roadmap, but also be flexible enough to be able to adapt whenever things inevitably change in ways that we didn't expect.
Well, that's one of the really cool things, right? Is that as far as Pro League goes, the problems that it's solving aren't being solved, right? So that just that is already a thing that's kind of built in, right? Is that the goal is to solve the problems, and then as newer technology comes in, we can integrate that in. Designed the platform from the beginning to have a scalable design, so that if things grow, if things change, if there's a new technology that comes in, we can use it, and we're not limited to either the where we started, the one blockchain we're on, because we use different technologies to grab different points of data. Um, and then there's a conversion mechanism within there that imports it into any of the smart contract side of things, NFT side of things, that need to be input, right? And that's probably the most likely side of the change, right? Is the blockchain side of gaming. The most wonderful thing though about blockchain gaming is all those statistics are on chain, which means I just pull numbers and variables and
Way easier.
incorporate them in. It's super easy, right? Whereas like for some of these Web 2 games, we're looking like we have to build our own APIs that plug into them to pull those statistics, right? And that's fine. It's not terribly difficult. And then that center little hub allows it to convert that either into your proof of play protocol, the statistics that are held for your team, etc. Right? And the rest of it is numbers and variables on there. Essentially, what Pro League did is I took all of these DeFi concepts that exist out there, right, and all of these technologies that blockchain can do, and incorporated them into a single industry, right? So things like automated payroll, right? Like that's essentially the process of how we pay out tournaments. That's the process of how teams pay out their players. Uh, so we've incorporated these and just stuck them right in because the immutability is so amazing, right? The fact that I can take your statistics, stick them into an NFT, and that's there forever. There's no changing that. There's no editing the blockchain, right? So you get caught cheating, that's on your record forever, forever and ever.
So is that the kind of the dream is at the end of the day, y'all are really building a profile for the gamer based on the NFT, where it's like the NFT tracks all of their game history, aggregates the statistics from all of their different games, and ties it together in like one profile that is
That's that proof of play.
That's
Yep.
like forever. Okay.
Yeah, that's the proof of play protocol, right? And it's super important, right? We have this already in every other pro sport,
Mhm.
right? You look at any of them, baseball, hockey, basketball, right? They've got this and they're doing this manually. This is 2022. I have computers and APIs and blockchain. Why don't we already have this?
That's a good question. So
Uh,
a quick follow-up here is that the main, like, is that the North Star of the shining goal? The shining
the,
the
go-
shining
the
project?
goal is the path to pro and to give players a place that they're going to be able to play and they will get paid and they
Okay.
know they will, right?
This
So
is just a tool to help them get there.
yeah, becomes so we can take esports and make it not this weird, stepchild of work, of an occupation, of a pro thing, and
Makes it
make it
legit.
legitimate, right? Because even nowadays, when you mention this, like if you're out at a bar or something, you're trying to talk to people about esports, and you're talking about how much money people make and what they do, they they still roll their eyes, they laugh, and you're like, no, like you don't seem to understand. And a big portion of that is because this doesn't exist, right? There's no there's no way to be drafted onto a team that somebody can see and understand how it works, right? You look at all these other professional sports, and there's draft days and there's contract movements, and you know all of this is happening and it's all there. Esports is super fragmented and it's done in all these different ways. And it's like, look, colleges are making esports teams. It's potentially going to the Olympics. And we're still doing all this in these archaic manners through shared docs and emails. And, there's no standardized way to do this. And it's like, okay, why? This is an electronic thing that's played. Why isn't this just automated? And why isn't this already just built and ready to go?
That's cool.
And like, it's actually like, it's like, honestly, like when you start diving down into it, it actually gets kind of sad because you start kind of finding out that what's happening is you've got players that they want to be pro so bad, and a lot of them are younger, and they're just getting taken advantage of, like just real heavily.
That's not as cool.
No,
Not
it's
at all.
terrible, right? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there is no players association like there is for all these other professional ones, right? There's nobody that's helping people negotiate anything. There's nobody that's defining what the values are of these players. And they're seeing these players and they're signing them, and they don't have the resources to look at the contracts. Their parents don't have the resources to look at the contracts. There was one Chifu, when his contract leaked, he was being taken for 70%. 7-0. That's
sucks.
insane. Right? But he just got taken advantage of because he was young. And that's not cool, right? Like, you're just taking advantage of players, you're using them, you're pumping them, you're dumping them. If this is going to be a long-lasting occupation or a thing that you're going to be able to do into the future, there has to be the same thing that's available for everything else in the pro world for esports. And that's the goal. And that proof of play is super important because that's how you can say, look, me, headshots, 47. Deaths, 1. Right here, you can see it. I'm obviously worth a lot, right? And because it's all out there, your scouts can go,
you can prove it.
You can prove it. And the really cool thing is that you can say, for a scout, right? If we look back at like the it's that silly movie Moneyball, right? And they're looking at different players and they're putting them all together by these different things, right? You can now pull all those variables, right? And you can go, oh man, this kid's not the best, but yesterday he was here, now he's here, and 2 months ago he was way down here. So there's potential there. I want to draft that kid now before he's the all-star that everybody's trying to get. Like, I want him on my team now because I see the potential. Or he skill set sits and fits directly with this skill set that's a gap in our team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask about this then. There are going to be there already are gamers from around the globe, internationally speaking, and everybody from around the world, meaning they're going to be gamers from around the world, and everybody has a different set of laws that they have to adhere to. So if we're talking about making sure to pave the way to pro, then there will inevitably be some sort of interaction with legal that has to happen at some point. So how are you guys thinking about that? Maybe it's not what you guys need to tackle it, but okay. Well, how are you even thinking about that, and what did they say?
So reached out to 2 different attorneys. One is one of the top ones that represents teams, and one is the top one that represents players, right? And kind of had this discussion, right, of like, okay, how does this look? How do you guys structure contracts? What's going on with this, that, and the other? And one of the things that kind of hit me was, after we were talking to him, is that 80% of these contracts are the same. So down the road, right, we could literally put your play contract on chain. Like your actual signed contract and the way that it distributes funds and the requirements that are there, you could actually put that on chain. You could have disputes right? Questions, all of that could be there. And that's kind of one of the, it's after MVP because it is complex and there's a lot that goes on to it. But, it's one of those next stage, next level things that we're looking at. And the other kind of cool thing is that with the Players Association, there can be legal representation within there if it was needed, right? So they can help do this, right? Now, obviously, they're going to want their cut and whatever else, right? But both of the ones that we've reached out to, they're very either team focused or player focused, right? And they're there for those people with a very similar passion that we have, which is to take this to the next level and make it legitimate. So that's that next level with the
Understood.
Players Association.
Understood. So I kind of want to scope out and talk more about just the esports scene in general, crypto, the metaverse, and crypto gaming, of course. So I have this theory that esports is not going to be entirely just about how good are you, but as we move into, well, how good are you from like a can you press the buttons faster than everybody else? And do you know all the best combos? But in a world where there's a play and earn mechanism, that it will almost be more about how can you not only how do you perform, but how can you build communities of people around you that can perform together. And as a unit or a mini guild or group, how can you go out and earn enough to be able to pay for everybody's bills, and together you're almost competing in like an earning way, but it won't, but basically at the essence of it is it's not just about who's better at headshotting the other person. It's about who gets the grand strategy of how to best approach this game. How do you guys, an easy, would love to hear you chime in on this. How do you guys think about that evolution of esports with this enhanced monetization factor inside of it?
This one makes me super excited.
All right, jump on it.
Sorry, I know I've been talking a lot, but like the tech
No,
side,
go for it.
which is like exactly what this is like it's where my mind goes and it's when I nerd out. When we dive into P2E, we look right now and you can see all these different various models, different tokenomics, and how they work, right? And what they are at their core is DeFi protocols, like literally decentralized finance level protocols built into GameFi, which is so cool. Except for the average consumer, it's super nerdy and boring because finance is nerdy and boring. But from a GameFi, it's so neat the way it's done. And you're exactly right, because what will become your high score is how much you earned, right? So, and that's it, right? So you were saying it's not like how fast you can press the buttons and whatever, right? It is this grand strategy, exactly like you said. But there's different styles of games coming potentially that are play to earn, right? Because in theory, right, if we take like a Call of Duty or something, right, you could get more, you could get, I don't know how it is, right? How to say this right, but you could almost be like a mercenary, right? But also like you could get paid for how well your shots were, right? Because all that can be put in there, right? Your earnings could be done based on a tournament where it's bullet to kill ratio, right? Like think about that one for a second, right?
Like your accuracy rating almost.
Yeah, right. Like that one starts to get really wild, because then the guy with all the knife kills is really knocking it out. Right? I think
Right.
it's 0 bullets and 5 kills. I mean, cool, right? But you can do all of these different variables in there, right? Because you can pay out and earn on kill to death ratios. You can pay out and earn on like where different your accuracy was. So there's all these different variables that you can do, and then that can help you build a team around them, right? But if we look at games that are more play to earn, like maybe an Axie or something like that, then yeah, your earnings literally become your high score. And those are the best players in the game, right? Or maybe the ones that have the most time, right? But I think what we're going to see from play to earn games is a lot less of just playing and earning, and it'll be win to earn, right? Like
I like that.
so it'll be rewarding the people that are better rather than just the people that are spending time on the game.
Totally.
And we're
Because you
kind
may have somebody who has like kids that can't sit there and grind out for 8 hours a
right.
day, but they may be just wicked on the, on with their chops or something.
Yeah, or they've got a
And
day job.
mhm.
You
Or they're
know?
just a brilliant strategist,
Mhm.
but don't necessarily have like the hand-eye coordination
Right.
skills to like execute on that. Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting evolution. I think one thing that's going to be critical though is we have got to figure out how to build a closed loop system where it does not require external investments or like prize pools from different sponsors of tournaments and stuff in order for people to still be able to earn and have what they earn retain value. I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. For example, in like a World of Warcraft, but for crypto, the gold in WoW is so critical to like the functioning of everything that goes on in the game. We should be able to have that a similar mechanic, but also instead of just being able to spend that in game, you should be able to trade that out for ETH and
Mhm.
Solana and blah 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 blah.
Right.
So like I think that is going to be critical to like figure out the best way to do that.
I've modeled out a few of these, working on that exact concept. In your MMOs like that, where you've got an in-game currency that's used to buy stuff in game. There's a few different ways that like you could potentially do it, right? Which is there could be a fee for entering and exiting the ecosystem, right? The other side of it is to have two different levels of playing, right? Where there's play to earn, right? And the reality is maybe you're not making a lot, right? $5, $10 a day playing that level, right? But then there's the next
Well,
level
hold on, time out on that real quick. $5 to $10 a day
in
for some people that's
mhm,
actually really
yeah,
amazing
100%, right?
because there are some countries
Mm.
out there where the base level of pay is like $60-$70 a month. So
Right.
if you're making $5 to $10 a day, that's $150 to $300 a month. Like that's a substantial increase in
It's a
quality of living there.
it's a huge increase in quality of living. Um, you do end up with a few extra expenses because you got to have internet, you got to have,
Of
whatever else
course.
it is, right? But yeah, no, it's a huge one there, right? But then you've got to have what's the level two, right? Which is some way that whatever it is you earn, playing play to earn, can be used to get to a more substantial level, right? And you would have to drive the value of whatever is happening that based on how much it's being played in the P to E side, right? And so I've like written some algorithms that kind of do this mechanism in the middle. And the reality is, though, is like until we do this a few times, we aren't really going to figure out which one is the sustainable model um, for long term adoption. But at the end of the day, when you're going to trade out your P to E for something else, there has to be something else, either ETH, USDC, USDT backing it. Um, some variant of liquidity that has to be there, unless whatever it is you're using in game can be exchanged for a real world asset, right? Which is all. I mean, if you're a crypto believer like I am, right? My friends make jokes, call me a crypto evangelist. That's the
Can't
future.
help it. Can't
That's
help
the
it.
future, right? It's the ability to exchange the crypto that I've earned for my rent, for a bottle of water, right? Maslow's hierarchy, right? Safety,
Mhm.
food, um, shelter, right? Being able to achieve those top three with the crypto you've earned, right? That's the total goal. So,
Yeah, I think that is the dream, is to allow people to play a game, earn in the game, and then be able to buy groceries, pay rent, pay for insurance, get a car, and do everything they need to do without ever having to touch fiat ever
That's the
again.
goal. That's the
Like
goal.
that's the goal. It would be so much simpler actually if that were the case,
Yeah. So
because on and off ramps to and from fiat, they just suck right now.
they do.
Yeah,
And so we
big
reached
issue.
out to Visa, right? So we can have a Visa card. So that when you get paid on Pro League, you just basically get kind of loaded into like a debit card, right? And then you'll be able to use those rails. Now, the crypto evangelist part of me says, hey, that's our stopgap in the future, right? Is to use these rails that are used by the antiquated financial system we have now. But if we're going to onboard people into crypto,
Got to onboard everybody.
you got to bring them in with something they're comfortable with, right? And then you need to show them the light. Bring them under your arm. Be like, here, come with me. Let me show you what native transactions look like, where you don't have that Visa fee, where you don't have to deal with that stuff. But you got to start with everybody, right? And we know a lot of gamers aren't inherently already in blockchain. So the simplest way is to provide them with something they understand and they know, right? Which is a Visa card or a credit card, right? That they can just swipe or use somewhere.
Well, plus, I don't actually think the goal is to cut out certain people or certain even projects or institutions from what we're building. Like the amount of value that, and this actually may be a contrarian view, but the amount of value that exists within Visa and MasterCard is enormous. Why would we not want them to participate and contribute to the world of crypto? Like when they bring their resources to the table, they can help us innovate and do it better. If they try to monopolize it and control it, well, then there'll be some pushback and there's some tension. But if we really want it to be a global financial system, then we have to have global participation. And just because we don't want to be forced to use fiat doesn't mean fiat shouldn't exist, or doesn't mean fiat plays no role in the in the future of things. It should just be another currency that we can fluidly get in and out of as we decide we want to, not be forced to use it because we have to.
You are speaking. You're preaching to the choir. I think that for a lot of people, and I'm in this one, right? Using the current rails removes a level of one of my favorite things about blockchain, which is transparency, which is seeing the transactions, knowing where they went, knowing where they came from, right? And the ability to get in there and do that. Now, once these card systems, if they start settling naturally on chain, and the ecosystem gets completed, right? So there's an ecosystem of funds, right? Which is business accepts funds, business pays people in funds, people that get paid spend same funds, right? When that ecosystem starts to get collected, right, or solidified, right? When we reach that full circle, that's when we'll know we've made it, because that's when the moments happened.
Well, there's actually a lot more people in that ecosystem than most people realize. Like
A lot.
when you spend money at a store, let's say you're using a credit card and all you see is you go to Aaron's boot shop. You're selling boots now, pal.
All right.
And I get to show your boot shop. So go to Aaron's boot shop and I want to buy some rad boots. I'm going skiing in a little bit, so I need some new ski boots. And so I go and I swipe my card on your device, and then you get paid and I have paid you, and it shows up in both of our accounts. Okay. So what happens there is not only are we involved as your merchant and customer, but you then have a bank that is processing that. There's hardware that was physically swiped in. There's software on that hardware. And there's probably somebody that sold to you that hardware and software. And typically that's what's called an ISO, which is an independent sales organization that has a deal with the bank, which is then handling at the end of the day, processing. that happens. And there's probably like a Visa MasterCard somewhere in that spot that has worked their way in on that side. But then on my side as the customer, I also have a bank. I also have a Visa MasterCard that issued me the card. And all of these different people have to like verify the transaction, approve it, and then funds have to get sent around, and then there's settlement layers, and there's all that
It's
stuff's
massive.
under the hood, right?
Yeah.
So that then is like this monolith of middle people, and then there's like the crypto side, and so the what I'm fascinated by is what's going to happen when these worlds continue to collide. Like, how are the existing players going to play with the new financial system? And so, this merging of the ecosystems that you were talking about, of like, and I understood what you were getting at of like just the flow of money, you know, in an economy. Like, these people all exist to facilitate that flow in some way, shape, or form. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all really plays out.
It is, because all that monolith that you're talking about is blockchain.
I think it can be replaced almost entirely by
Entirely with blockchain, right? Because, well, blockchain technology, right? You know, within blockchain technology, you've got miners or validators or whatever your consensus mechanism is on your blockchain of choice, and then you have all it, right? So that whole thing gets replaced, right? And all of the resources that are used in our society and economy right now to run that now have somewhere else to go. Anywhere they want, right? We can use those for other things, improving industries, building out other stuff, right? But yeah, that whole side gets replaced by blockchain in theory. And I don't know how much that whole side costs per transaction, but I'd imagine it's 1.5% probably, maybe more.
The standard rate's like the same thing you see on PayPal, 2.9% plus 30 cents per
2.9%,
transaction.
right? And on
That's
Solana,
the legacy gas fee.
yeah, that's legacy gas fees. That's exactly it, right? And that's funny. That's actually, oh man, I'm using that. I'm stealing that. That's awesome.
Do it.
But and you look at Solana, and we're doing transactions that are happening faster than a screen can refresh for under a penny. And it doesn't matter if you sent $1 or $1 million. It's the same cost. And
That's a
that's
game
what's
changer.
really cool. Yeah, it's a true game changer. And you know what? It's also borderless. It's trustless. It just works. It just functions, right? It just does what it does. And if you're confused about how something happened, there's the blockchain to go look at. You can just go look and see where stuff went. And then it's semi-anonymous, right? You know the addresses that are moving. You may not know who is behind it, right? Unless you're a wallet watcher and then you're marking everybody's stuff. And I think if you're in crypto trading, you have those friends. But you know, there are limiting factors that need to be taken care of and things that need to be worked through to make it right. Onboarding of new users, how to make it easy. And that's the thing that I focus heavily on, especially with Pro League, is like, how do we just make this seamless, right? Because my opinion is that by 2025, like I go to blockchain and crypto conferences almost one a month at this point. And by 2025, there's not going to be blockchain and crypto conferences, just like there's not internet conferences right now. It's going to be a little blurb at the bottom that says powered by blockchain or Web3 or this, that,
It'll
or
be
the
abstracted away.
Exactly, right? And it will just be this buzzword or this technology that you're just like, oh, well, it's on blockchain, so it's good, right? You're gonna still have the people like me that nerd out on it and want to know how it works. How do we make it better? How do we make it faster? This, that, and the other. But the everyday user, especially the everyday user on Pro League, they want to go play some games. They want to draft a player. They want to look at some statistics. They want to go buy their bottle of water, pay their rent, get the new graphics card, whatever.
They probably don't even care.
And yeah, and the back end is, when they're telling their friends about it, it's like, yeah, man, this thing's on blockchain. it's awesome. And then that's like the end of it, right? So they're like, oh, how does it work? And when someone's, that one always drives me, that one blows my mind. And we were like, well, how does blockchain work? And I'm like, how does Swift work?
Right.
And they're like, wait, what? Right. How do Visa payment rails work? And it's like, because in a few years, nobody's actually gonna care, right? It's gonna work. It's gonna function.
If we're successful,
If we're
nobody's going to
successful.
care.
Well, yeah, current prediction, right? We're sitting at what is the equivalent of Internet 1998 as far as crypto adoption.
If we're that late, because think about it, Amazon first started in 94, 95.
Mm-hmm.
We may not even have seen the Amazon of crypto quite yet.
No, we haven't. But as far as crypto adoption, right, we're roughly 300 million, at least according to Statista, which is about where the internet was in 98. And the current rate of growth is, it took the internet 7 years to get to 1 billion. They're currently predicting that we'll be at 1 billion somewhere in 2024. The really interesting thing about the statistics too, is that the adoption outside of first world countries is growing exponentially faster than it is within first world countries. So it'll be really, really interesting in the future to see what happens with that, right? Because I think that some of these first world countries are going to get left behind. I know it's a bold statement. Right?
Well,
but
it certainly could happen.
You look at Nigeria, 33% adoption rate, and crypto is illegal there. That's their polled adoption rate, right? So imagine what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Talking, I got the privilege to talk to Charles Hoskinson, and we had to talk about Africa and stuff, and it was pretty awesome, right? But that's kind of the future, and that's a lot of why Pro League does so much of this on chain, is because bullish on the future, bullish on esports, and the future of blockchain and crypto as a whole. It just makes good sense to do this and to do it like this.
And sometimes even dollars, if you're good enough. Makes
Sometimes
dollars and cents.
even dollars.
Bad pun of the day. I had to throw it in.
When we'll know we've made it? When we've made it in crypto? When I go to the store and I go, oh, that's 0.01 Sol.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That'll be awesome.
That's the day, right? Because everything right now is still pegged to fiat, right? Everyone still looks at the chart and goes, oh my gosh, this is worth so much less. The day that you get to go, that's worth 5 Sol, and you're looking at it, like you look at something, a used car, and you're like, that's about 5 Sol, or that's about I don't know, quarter ETH, right?
That'll be awesome.
Like that's when you realize like some mindsets are starting to change, and if you spend a lot of time in this space, that actually kind of starts to happen, and it's
totally
a really weird kind of feeling at first when you're talking to your friends and you're like, oh, yeah, it's about 10th ETH, or yeah, I'd throw Sol down on that. And then, your friends that overhear you that aren't in crypto, like just,
what?
What are you talking about, right?
That's funny. So, hey, we're coming close to time here, and I want to ask real quickly, what do you think are the biggest issues we need to tackle? A quick question for you, real simple, quick one. But what do you think are the biggest issues that we need to tackle in the crypto gaming space right now to get to where we need to go next? What's the very next problem or problems that we have to tackle?
We have 2, right? One, how do we integrate Web 2 games into crypto gaming? And the second is the thing that you and I talked about, which is how do we build sustainable models for this? And I think, as far as PDE goes, right? Somebody was in a chat with me the other day, and they reminded me of something, which I thought was like, it was just this moment of like, oh, right. We've been focusing really heavily on P2E gaming and how you earn, right? I think we need to go backwards. Build a fun game and then figure out how to earn.
Totally.
Right? Instead of, okay, I've got this cool idea of a thing you can do to earn, and how do I make a game out of it? Right? Make the game fun first and then wrap it in DeFi. Figure out where you can implement DeFi into this, right? And I think one of the ways that people can look forward to doing that is to go back to some of their favorite games, especially those that are like super like nerdy and understand the tech behind the DeFi stuff. Look at their favorite games that they played prior to this and go, all right, what does this look like in DeFi and how would you incorporate it into this? And then you ask, what's the onboarding and offboarding for that? Because gold in World of Warcraft absolutely could be a token, right, within it, right? But if that token keeps leaving the World of Warcraft world, right, then where's it going? What's it doing? So if you're building a game, make it fun and then figure out how to make money with it.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, Aaron and Easy, I want to thank you guys for hopping on the show today. I know we're super early in y'all's life cycle here, so I'm excited to just kind of track the progress and see what happens over time. Just looking at white paper, whenever you guys are making some moves here and moving into some different phases and have some other cool stuff, I'd love to invite you guys back on to continue the conversation. And it would be cool to almost re-tackle some of the things we talked about today to see like, okay, what changed between then and now, and see how much progress we've really made as an industry. So
Agreed.
yeah, it would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys. Appreciate you and your time and coming to chat with me about crypto gaming. You guys rock.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
Ben.
so much.
Awesome. All right, guys,
Yeah.
take care. Everybody watching and listening. Peace.